Hello, everyone. Welcome to the C0C Podcast, the Church of Chonkwij Gaming News Podcast, Episode 1. I am joined by Masami Omega, Zero Burn. I'm DrNiggle, otherwise known as DrNiggle. And we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a good time tonight. What's up, guys?
Oh, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
Always a ride.
Hell yeah.
We prefer it bumpy and rough.
So we did our stint on the old podcast, and we decided to do a different podcast. So it's kind of the same format, just a little bit more relaxed and higher production values. Thank you, Zero.
And less pants.
Significantly less pants.
Always less pants. And ladies and gentlemen, when he says higher production value, we have to step things up a bit with a new background that signifies the Church of Chonkwij.
And how the church does not support the wearing of pants. So take them off.
Grab a beverage and enjoy it.
So yeah, Omega, what did you have on the list to speak about this evening?
Oh, we got some interesting stuff. Some big news in the gaming world that I came across that you also came across yourself, and we briefly discussed a couple days back. Is Twitch? Twitch is having some people are calling a bloodbath of DCMA takedown notices, where streamers are going through their entire archive of content and deleting all their VODs, deleting all their clips, because Twitch has, bent over backwards and to suck the dick of big corporations who hold copyrights and fuck over all kinds of people. Yep. So now all sorts of people who have any music and clips or anything, they're just gonna get wiped. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was Torrent Freak that came out with the article that called it essentially a bloodbath because of exactly what you said. Twitch went through over a year's worth of content that was published by just about everybody on its platform, and they just arbitrarily deleted these people's content. They didn't send out warnings. They didn't say, this is why we're deleting it. They just did it.
Well, and the crazy thing is, in Twitch's mind, this is good for users because now they just remove the content. You can't file a counterclaim against it anymore. But see, they remove the content, but they won't place a strike against your account. So they're sort of calling it like an amnesty thing. Like, if you do this, you're forgiven, and they'll just remove it and not actually punish you for it. But this is removing,
which is a great fucking attitude to have. You did something wrong. We're not telling you what it is, but we're doing you a favor by deleting this content that you uploaded, and we're not gonna, go any further into it. You're welcome for not getting you in trouble. And yeah, it's kind of a baffling attitude.
I mean, just to name some names that people might recognize, XQC says that he deleted quote terabytes of old clips. Tim the Tatman, 200,000 clips removed from his channel. Dr. Lupo, 600,000 clips removed from his channel. And it's absurd.
Well, and, just speaking from, the standpoint of the fact that I've been doing Twitch, recently got affiliate, I'm not willing to jeopardize my streams because of this. So, I mean, I'm luckily my stuff was only hanging for 14 days anyway, and I have explicit permission from the artist whose music I was using. I have an email response directly from him that states that I have clearance to use his music. But even then, I'm afraid to do it because, one, they're not allowing you to appeal it, so there's no real point in me having that email. And two, even if I turn around and use the music, it's just going to get deleted anyway. I've tried on other platforms and they've literally just removed the sound off of my streams where you hear nothing. It is just gameplay. And I mean, as sleep inducing as my tone is sometimes, I would prefer that people be able to hear me speak when I'm speaking to my audience. It defeats the purpose.
We're talking about the game for that matter. I mean, a lot of people do instructional things while they're on Twitch, and it's just such a turnaround from the strikes that happened earlier in the year where they did give appeals, but you could get your account banned if you didn't take shit down. So I guess they figured this was a better way somehow.
So there are two things that I want to bring up as potentially being the main culprits behind this. The first one is, first and foremost, the RIAA, which is the Recording Industry Association of America. They are the people who aggressively pursue DMCA copyright notices towards channels that play music, any sort of music that might be copyrighted by anything that might fall under one of their, protections, or one of their recording artists or something like that.
They're right bastards.
Yeah, they're dicks. The second thing that I personally would put to blame is the content ID system that Twitch has, which is the artificial intelligence, the algorithm that they have that scans through videos and looks for music that is potentially, copyrighted. A lot of Twitch users who had this done to them took to Twitter, and one of the big complaints this past week was that this content ID system is bullshit, and it obviously doesn't know what it's doing, because the people that Omega mentioned, the larger names that had this done, they're not stupid people. They're not playing copyrighted music on their streams. They're using music that they have permission to use, or they're using music that's completely royalty-free and has no copyright attached to it. But it got ID'd anyway. So how did that happen on such a large scale? Probably the content ID system.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's funny. Doc and I went to music school together many lifetimes ago.
Oh my god, like 50 years ago.
Something that I think we can both confirm for those of you listening is that there are only 12 notes in music, and pop songs, or they're all the same. Like, there are only so many chord progressions, only so many note combinations, and when you have computer algorithms trying to judge what a song is based on these things that are formulaic and repetitive and done time and time and time again, you're going to have shit like this happen. And now you've got this, what you guys are just talking about, people who have original music, people who have copyright-free music, royalty-free music. They're getting taken down because the algorithm is matching it to something else. But now you can't even fight it. You can't even argue that, like, even if it's your own fucking music, you couldn't argue against it.
Yeah, right. What if you were the person that actually made that music and you were playing it?
Be the copyright holder for the actual music, and you would have no recourse.
Yeah, Immoral Fear just came out and said, I mean, I used to use non-copyrighted sounds, and that got muted. Yeah. YouTube has an entire bank of royalty-free music that you can just put in any video that you want. That's what it's supposed to be there for. And if I use something like that on one of these podcasts or any production that I make, and that somehow finds its way onto Twitch, is the person on Twitch going to be penalized for that? And the second part of that was, even though that bank exists and it's all copyright-free, royalty-free, a year ago or 2 years ago, there was a pretty significant incident where at least one of those tracks got bought up by another company, and that company decided to copyright it, and the copyright somehow came out as retroactive. So all the videos on YouTube that used that royalty-free track that were in that bank that YouTube provided to its content creators got a copy strike or got monetized by this other company. So this whole thing, there's a multitude of royalty-free and copyright-free stuff that's just fucked up across the platforms, but this one in particular, this one that happened on Twitch, this is clearly geared towards benefiting Twitch exclusively. And I think one of these articles put it very succinctly. Twitch is not a platform for its streamers. Twitch exists to benefit itself. You have the privilege of using Twitch, but if you get shit on, you should just expect that, because this is not your platform.
This goes for YouTube as well, and quite frankly, not to get political. Oh wait, this is a new podcast where we can. This is what the fucking society that we live in is, where corporations are out to milk as much money as possible and cover their own ass from liability in any way possible. All of this is, and YouTube does the same thing. They've instituted systems now that remove any liability from them, any responsibility for actually policing content themselves. And they are doing these things purely for the benefit of large corporations, of which Twitch is a part of a large corporation that does a lot of business with pretty much... Twitch is owned by Amazon. Amazon Web Services is used by half the major corporations in the fucking world. And so of course Amazon, an Amazon subsidiary like Twitch, is going to bend over backwards and do things in the interest of corporations. We are not the customers of Twitch. We are the product. Our eyeballs are the product. Viewers are the product that is sold to advertisers. And quite frankly, the content creators on Twitch aren't customers either. You're making product for Twitch to sell to advertisers.
But then what?
And being honest, and even speaking from that, I mean, I haven't been an affiliate that long. I don't have that many subscribers. I don't have that many followers. But even that, the systems that are in place aren't to, and just speaking based off of what I've seen in my analytics, it's not there to, like y'all said, it's not there to benefit us. And Immortal, yes and no, because...
Oh God, Immortal just asked, would it be better to go to Facebook Gaming? I say no. I say unequivocally no.
Well, I mean...
We'll be getting to Facebook in a little while. That's also on the topic list, so we'll talk about Facebook.
Yeah, good question.
But, the oh no, and being new to streaming, hey, trust me, I'm still new to it, and I've been doing this for almost a year now. And it's, it's one of those things that you've just got to find. You've got to find what system works best for you. YouTube, I'll be dead honest with you, YouTube used the excuse back when all of that crap happened with the adpocalypse, and they had their algorithm that was going in. They said, and I quote, "We're using blunt tools here. And those blunt tools will eventually get better because they'll have a chance to develop." And the issue that they run into now is that, okay, a video gets reported. Said video, and this is just, and I'm just going to bring this up, and let me first of all say that I'm not bringing this up in a political manner because of the timing. I'm bringing it up because of the way that the situation was handled. There was a stream that was done by a conservative YouTuber that was copyright struck by somebody who was acting as who had an email address, a Hotmail address that was at least, I believe it was 6 years old, and was copyright striking conservative channels, saying that they were part of Warner Brothers Incorporated, and they had a Hotmail address. And when they sent it for review, these things were not being manually looked at. Or at least it seemed they weren't being manually looked at. They were being sent for review. There was a response being sent almost immediately, and then it was coming back and saying, "Okay, no, we reviewed it, and it's not going back up."
I mean, to be perfectly fair, I believe that all the major studios do use Hotmail accounts.
Well, yeah.
Well, but this gets to the Facebook process, because talking about how corporations bend over backwards for each other and not for their customers. The process on YouTube with sorry if I said Facebook a second ago. I'm looking at an article about Facebook while I'm thinking about this. What YouTube does is they don't require verification. Somebody can claim to be a copyright holder and strike something. It is then on the person who has been copyright struck to prove their innocence. It's an automatic process. If you are copyright struck by a third party, Facebook will place that strike, or damn it, I did it again. YouTube will place that strike on your video, and you then have to appeal it. YouTube doesn't look at this claim that's put in and say, okay, we're going to investigate this and then make our decision. The claim comes in, your video gets struck, and then you have to defend yourself. And this is what's happened to hundreds of YouTubers, big and small, all types of people, all types of channels, whatever they may be. Just being on Reddit, you see them pop up, every couple of weeks, where, this really popular channel is on its last copyright strike because of frivolous strikes, and they have no recourse because they get struck and then they have to appeal. But in that intermittent time, that counts as a strike on their channel. So it's really a terrible situation. And now Amazon and Twitch is going down a similar route where, they act first. And hell, at least YouTube lets you ask questions later. Now Twitch is acting first, and go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I think the article that Zero is getting to is now relating to Facebook gaming. It is in the same vein. It's bending over backwards for either a corporation or for your own shareholders. Facebook's getting, the article that's just got pulled up is about Facebook gaming and the virtual reality push that they have going out. Facebook has always been, first and foremost, an analytical company. The whole being able to communicate with your friends, that's secondary. They're interested in your analytical data. They're interested in the analytical data of the people that you communicate with. And Cambridge Analytics, that got a lot of attention last year, is a great example of how third-party companies have been working with Facebook for years to harvest as much personal data from Facebook's customers, users, whatever, as they can, and market it and sell it, because it's worth a fuck ton of money. I mean, Facebook is worth billions of dollars, not for nothing. And it's certainly not because they let you talk to your old high school buddies. So Facebook gaming has its own thing going on where they're really more interested in parsing the data that you put up and that your users provide because of the terms of service, incidentally.
Yeah, it's you said Facebook is worth billions of dollars. Let's get more granular here. Our data is worth billions of dollars.
Yeah, it's us. We're the reason that Facebook is worth so much money, and our carelessness about the amount of information and personal data that we put on the internet is solely benefiting Facebook.
No, and again, I agree with that. And I tried not to use Facebook for a period of time, but that was pretty much the only way I could stay in touch with my family after we lost my mom. That was, I mean, it was just easier. And it's how my family has been able to communicate. Granted, we've started doing group texts, but at the same time, if we need to get in touch with everybody, there's a Facebook group, or there's a Facebook Messenger group there that we can just send a message to, and boom, there it is.
I really hate to do a Diablo reference when Leetness isn't here, but do you guys not have phones?
Well, it's funny. I don't use Facebook at all anymore. Haven't for a few years now, and it's awesome because now I don't have to talk to my stupid fucking family anymore.
We here at the Church of Chonkwij support you spending time with your family, unless you don't want to.
Unless your family's Western Pennsylvania redneck fucking cousin fucking Bible thumpers.
Ooh,
or unless
yikes.
you're completely out of alcohol.
Oh, wow.
Look, there's a reason that everybody gets trashed at Thanksgiving.
Immortal. Wait, he uses FetLife to keep up with family? Good on you, sir. Good on you.
Oh boy. So yeah, there you go. There's the whole monster. And talking about Facebook, demonizing Facebook for parsing analytical or harvesting analytical data. I mean, yeah, that's definitely a thing that they do. I don't know for sure that Twitch doesn't do that too, and we just haven't heard the major news story break about how they've been selling it to, I don't know, the Kazakhs or something.
Well, but see, the amount of data that we give to Twitch is far less than we give to Facebook.
Yeah, that's true.
However, the amount of data we give to Amazon, all of our purchases that we make, all the ads that we click through, everything else. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what website you're on, where you're going, it's being logged, it's being recorded, and that information is valuable to someone.
Every single fucking time I don't do any shopping through the DrNiggle Amazon account, but it definitely exists because I was looking for Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina eggs. Every single fucking time I go on Amazon and the DrNiggle account, it's got some new vagina scented candle or vagina egg or 55-gallon drum of lube to sell me.
Well, you have a very limited browsing history on that account, and it's merely just reflecting that reality.
I had to get somebody got to give me something more interesting to look up on Amazon.
Sounding rods.
Sounding, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do.
I'm certain we can come up with something, man. I remember when I first joined Facebook back when it was still, you had to have a .edu address to actually sign up for it. I was in college the first time.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
that's right. There's an even bigger one now.
Yep, the 35,200 fluid ounce pack of 275 gallons of lube. Sadly, they don't have. Sadly, it does not come in mint chocolate chip scent.
You want to know what's really funny though? You look at this. This doesn't actually exist. This is a company that makes lube, and they're like, "Listen, if you're willing to spend, how much is that worth? How much does that one cost?
$9,696.96. So it is definitely a troll.
What they're saying is, if you're willing to spend $10,000 on lube, we'll go buy a container to put it in and slap our label on it. This company doesn't have fucking.
You don't think that their profits are tied up in inventory?
Oh my god.
That's not a real product. You can buy that much lube, and then maybe when you place an order, they'll buy a container and fill it. But there's no warehouse with, meter cube containers.
Oh my god, look at that horrible Photoshop. Jesus Christ.
Okay. Really? This company's amazing.
And it's water soluble. I'm telling you, friends.
Our inventory got lost in the great lube fire that we had at our warehouse. All the lube caught fire.
These pictures are amazing.
That's not even a lube fire. That's a dude pushing the giant thing of lube on a sled.
He's trying to get it away from the warehouse that's on fire.
Yeah, you see the orange glow in the upper in that corner? Yeah, he's running from the radiance of the fire.
That's brilliant.
So yeah, this is what I see when I go on Amazon every day. every time that my account is just on the DrNiggle account and I mistakenly go to Amazon on it.
And now that'll be popping up in my feed.
There you go. You recently viewed this. Perhaps you'd be interested in this.
No, I don't want a 3-foot-long black 12-inch thick dildo. No.
Why not? Well, it's fun for the whole family.
Hey, before we move on, though, we're still wrapping up the fuck Facebook thing and their whole gaming and VR push. Fun article from a couple of days ago. Turns out that if you ever want to stop using Facebook and deactivate your account, you won't be able to use your Oculus profile anymore either. So if you're looking into VR and you don't want your VR attached to whether or not you use a social media network that has nothing to do with fucking gaming, pick something other than Oculus.
That's right. Silas was looking to pick up a VR headset last week, and he did ask for opinions about a couple different devices, including the Quest 2, and I brought up that it does require a Facebook account, and if you stop using Facebook, you basically stop using your Quest account as well.
Yeah, this article says if you delete your Facebook account, you'll delete all your app purchases and achievements. And Facebook says, quote, you'll no longer be able to return apps. You'll lose any existing store credits.
Can you even imagine if the social media aspect of Steam was way more popular than it is, and people used it for social media, and then they decided they didn't want to use social media on Steam anymore, so Steam was like, okay, but we're taking away all your games too.
Revolt.
Can you imagine that?
Revolt, burn it down.
but that's literally what's happening here, and that's why it's like, what Facebook will do anything to keep users and to keep people logged on. And a lot of people don't know is that, like, anytime on a website they've got that little Facebook widget where it's like, share this article to Facebook. That widget is reading the fact that you visited that article.
Yeah,
like, it's everywhere. So they are desperate to keep every user on tap and everyone on the, like, everyone's data keep funneling in one way or another. And now they're literally threatening to take away your toys if you leave their social media site.
Yeah, because that's what I want to do. Spend $300-$400 on a damn VR headset and then have it become a paperweight when I delete my Facebook account. Sorry, no.
It's strikingly insidious so that they're getting in on it now before VR blows up into a thing, if that actually manages to happen, because then no one can do anything about it. Like, if Steam were to do it now, if there'd be an uproar, but what if they had done it like back before it was big? Yeah. And like, Facebook is one of the first social media platforms, and so it's the one that most people are leaving, whether people are going elsewhere or just going off social media at all.
Yeah.
I'm very quickly learning that there is no real point to social media, and that what
about cultivating a whole new generation of people who are insanely vain?
It's basically an advertising platform. Like, if you do anything on the internet, you better have your social media poop in a group so that you're putting out posts, which is basically advertising. I mean, hashtags, are supposed to get you to the information that you want by just clicking the hashtag and then seeing posts of everyone who's used it. But, in a way, you're just, you're gathering followers, you're pulling more people to your stuff in the hopes that these big corporations are going to pay you for using their stuff.
Well,
it's a big vicious circle.
I mean, on top of that, you guys laughed at me the other day because I downloaded a whole new version of OBS just so that it would auto post to my Twitter, so that I didn't have to physically go to Twitter and post on my Twitter account, because I don't want my sister, who is one of my moderators, to have access to my personal Twitter. That doesn't make sense to me, and I don't want somebody having access to my personal Twitter anyway, other than myself.
Yes, but I laugh at you. Ha ha ha, you are part of the problem.
I know I'm part of the problem. I've been part of the problem. But anyway.
Yeah, and to summarize the whole thing and some of the questions we got, if you want to stream, Twitch is probably still the place to be. Just don't use music of any kind, and that apparently is the new baseline. You're taking your channel in your own hands if you put on any sort of music in the background. So you're basically just streaming and doing whatever you can. I know there was a tweet that actually came out that Omega posted this week from one of the former deads of all things, Assassin's Creed 3, the worst Assassin's Creed, who said that in reality it should be streamers who are paying game developers for the right or the permission to stream these games. And I thought that was kind of it's not a completely stupid opinion to have. There's some merit there. But on the other hand, the argument has been for years, streamers are getting games, basically free advertising. They're pushing these titles out there. There are a handful of games that I would never know about if I hadn't watched streamers play them. And
Among Us?
Well,
Yeah, Among Us,
that's
that
actually
totally passed me by.
that's actually kind of funny though, because when you think about it, there are different sorts of streamers. I mean, there are streamers who people go to see them, and then there are and they could play any game and they will still have tens of thousands of viewers. And then there are the streamers who they only play one game and their community is all about playing that game. And I mean, I've seen this especially in the Warframe world, where a streamer plays Warframe. Every time they stream, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 10,000 people watching even. And then, like has happened with all of us at one point or another, they get burned out on Warframe. They start playing other games and they get triple digits viewers if they're lucky. They don't break 1,000. Nobody gives a shit anymore. They try playing other games and it's gone. There are plenty of people like that, and those people I would say are pretty much they are using the game as a way for them to make money. Whereas these other streamers who have people going to see them and they can play anything, those games are getting amazing publicity because you're exposing the game to a whole new audience who doesn't already play your game, perhaps, versus a whole bunch of Warframe players logging on to watch a Warframe streamer play Warframe.
So is the argument here that in such a system where a streamer would be paying a dev for the permission to stream their game, it would be hurting smaller streamers
Yes.
who couldn't afford it in the first place?
Yeah, I think so, because those smaller streamers who have a single game audience are entirely reliant upon that game.
I can see that.
I
can see that as a good argument.
I mean, hell, I couldn't afford to pay out to a game company to stream a game. I mean, no.
I'm sure the Digital Extremes would give you an extremely fair rate, say $9.99 a month.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
I mean, you mean kind of like Blizzard's giving me, $14.99 a month, which, by the way, I haven't paid in 6 months.
Yeah,
So-
right. I mean, that's a good point too. What about companies that are charging a subscription to pay their game in the first place?
Yeah.
If such a system as this guy tweeted out would exist, are you going to be paying the subscription to play the game in the first place and another subscription to stream the game?
Well, I mean, that would be different rights. When, as we all now know, we're not actually buying games. We're buying a license to play the game.
Okay, yeah, we're paying for permission to access the glorious servers of
Exactly.
yeah.
And in the same way, you would need a separate license to broadcast what is their content.
Yeah.
Again, speaking of in a worst case scenario of if the corporations truly had all the power they dreamed of, I mean, that's how it works in all sorts of sectors of broadcast industry. Is you have to pay to use content on content that you are making. Like in the news, if we want to use a picture that was taken by, that picture was taken by the Associated Press or Reuters or AFP or some other news organization, we got to pay them to use their content in our content that we're making. So theoretically, at least, I mean, I could understand an argument. I think it's ridiculous to be clear here, but I do understand an argument that the game creators have, the developers have created this game. And if a person wants to create content using this content, they need to pay for the rights to use that content and make money off of it. Because realistically, that's what streamers are doing. They are making money by using content created by somebody else, and they are not paying them for it. Now, the world we're in today is that the quote unquote payment is exactly what DrNiggle just spoke to: free advertising for the game. And so, yes, I do think you are effectively paying them, or you are paying for it by giving them free advertising.
So what, it sort of sounds like there's a new philosophy on the horizon here, which we could call compartmentalized capitalistic communism. So hear me out here. What we have are large companies, like whoever, extremely large companies who put out these products and make a whole lot of money, and then they have all these other people who work for them or advertise for them, but they don't make any money. So the companies would basically have slaves. No, wait, this is done before. Or yeah, this has already been done. Never mind. It was a bad idea back then. It's a bad idea now.
In the words of Rick from Rick and Morty, that sounds like slavery with a whole lot more steps.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my God.
It's slavery with extra steps.
So,
Yeah,
but
no.
I mean, and this is just to speak on Omega's point. There are streamers out there who are one note ponies. That's all they are. And as much as I hate to bring it up, Asmongold is one of those people. He has stated in his just sit down, talk to people videos on his YouTube channel, he has said, I can't go anywhere else. I have been streaming Warcraft for 12 years. That is my bread and butter. He said, I want Blizzard to make Shadowlands the best possible expansion it can be, because if they don't, I don't know that I can survive, because of the fact that he relies so heavily on what Blizzard does. When he does other streams of other games, his channel tanks. He doesn't get nearly the views.
If I were going to play devil's advocate here, I would say, oh, what a shame. He's going to have to go out and get a real job.
Well, I mean, but honestly, but seriously though, I mean, Omega does have a very good point. For the people who just play one game, if they go and if let's say that game tanks, terribly tanks, like to the point where it's no longer playable and they shut the servers down, those people switch to a different game, and then they completely lose their following.
Oh, anybody remember when Club Penguin shut down?
Oh man.
To get to your point, Doug, where you said, jokingly get a real job. I mean, it is a real job. You are a...
It is, yes, it absolutely is.
You are a broadcaster.
You're an entertainer. You're a content creator, and you're an entertainer.
The problem is that if you have a quote-unquote real-world job as an entertainer, and that job ends, there are plenty of other places to go. There are other companies, there are other content producers, whatever. If you are independent by yourself, and your entire content creation, entertainment business is based around one game, well, every game eventually dies. Every game eventually stops getting... I mean, right now it's really big in talking about streaming, and very major game that was at one point the king of esports, StarCraft 2. Blizzard is no longer going to make any updates, any patches, anything. They have announced that finally they have reached the sundown on development for StarCraft 2. Now, this game was the king of esports.
Yeah, that's what started the fad.
6 years ago, 7 years ago, even farther back. That it hasn't been as relevant for probably the last 5 years, I would say. But even 5 years ago, it was 10 times as big as it is today. And they still have their annual tournaments, and they still got a lot of viewers. But the sundown period for StarCraft 2 is here.
And that brings it back to what you said as entertainers, as some of those people, the personalities that they had. Playing StarCraft, now that if the leagues are going to close down, if that's going to stop being a venue, then those entertainers are going to have to go off. People like Idra are going to have to be faced with a decision. They can make a very lateral move and move over to serving coffee at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. Well, but think of all
Sorry.
But think about how big the esports industry is around certain games, and when you think about the way that it works, like when a game dies, it's not like, if you're a sports announcer, you can announce all kinds of sports, and the sports aren't going to die, so you'll always have work. If you're a StarCraft announcer, you're an expert in StarCraft. When StarCraft is gone, you became a StarCraft esports caster because you played StarCraft when you were a kid, and you played it for 20 years, and this is, like a dream job for you. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to go be a Fortnite streamer? Or a caster? Are you going to go start casting Call of Duty tournaments? That's a completely different it's a completely different game, completely different world, and they're going to get stuck in that same sort of issue too. My cat agrees.
I just went over to. I'm not even actually sure. I should make sure that this is the same person before I start talking about this. But I don't know if you remember a StarCraft commentator named Husky. He was kind of a big deal.
Not Husky. I don't remember Husky. If that was a long time ago, I didn't really start getting into StarCraft esports until like the last couple of years. Maybe like the last, like I said, 5 years or so. But if he was an older caster, then no.
Yeah, Husky was a dude.
I think the only thing that I ever played that vaguely had an esports agenda behind it was League of Legends, and I haven't played that since 2013. So
Yeah, but even League of Legends doesn't have the following that it used to.
yeah, it used to be huge.
Yeah. I mean, filling out entire stadiums for tournaments. I mean,
well, let's be fair. League of Legends is still fucking massive in Asia.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
The king in Asia. It's no longer the king here, but in Asia, it is pretty much the game.
Yeah, like the winning team and like the world championship or whatever gets like a music video. They get to like make their own little music video or whatever. I've seen them. There are some surprisingly good songs associated with those, but
All right, that is a brilliant tangent. I really like where we went with that. But speaking of getting off, there's another article here called Among Us. Among Us suffers attack by apparent pro-Trump hacker 3 days after AOC's hit Twitch rally. Not sure if anybody a couple days ago caught Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez playing a round of Among Us with a whole bunch of friends. But 500,000 people caught it.
Yeah,
it's insanely popular.
Oh, insanely popular. I mean, her eyes still creep me out, but it was insanely popular.
Omega, our Romanian friend actually DM'd me and was just like, "Are you watching this, man? Are you watching this, man? This is incredible. You should check this out."
Oh my god, it's amazing.
Anyway, Among Us, and this game just goes to describe what Among Us is. Of course, we know. It had a double purpose. She also wanted it to be sort of a campaign rally for Joe Biden, and it was a hit. It got widespread attention and praise, according to this article. And a couple days later, a seemingly pro-Trump hacker got in there and started just posting through chat all these pro-Trump messages just aimed at anyone that was playing the game, and it was everywhere. This was October 22nd.
Yeah, so some guy hacked in and said, looking at the message now, "You're mad, I'm back, subscribe to Arab Lores, vote Trump 2020," and a Discord link. And it was sent to apparently, hundreds of thousands of players got these messages.
And this guy had a Discord set up with some pre-made text, and also created a Twitter account, again with pre-made text, just to give people something to read when they got in there. But I don't think that this guy, Eris Loris, has been active. The articles have mentioned that they tried to reach out to him on his his ostensibly official social media accounts, and nothing. So yeah, games are being politicized. Popular streaming games are getting politicized.
Imagine that.
But hey, I like that. I like the sight of a young politician acknowledging young people and catering towards a younger crowd in an actual real way, rather than things that reek of fellow kids kind of stuff.
That was the one thing. I didn't watch a lot of the stream. I probably caught between 20 and 30 minutes of it, but there was surprisingly little cringe. It didn't seem like she was trying to cater to an audience. It seemed like she was trying to play a game with her friends.
But the very act of doing that is catering towards the millennial and the Zoomer generation in a way that no politician does.
For sure.
AOC is a congresswoman, but don't forget she's younger than all of us, and it's great to see. It's something that is talked about in politics all the time. Is the youth need to be more active, and it's nice to finally see it happening and see someone who is young in there doing this and engaging with the younger generation rather than every politician bending over backwards to cater favor with the AARP crowd.
Well, and I would honestly, I don't know if they released the analytics for her stream. I would be interested to see, the demographics of the crowd. I mean, I know that it's a bit harder to find that information on Twitch. I know I've looked through my analytics, but I'm definitely not attracting the 18 to 49-year-old female crowd. But
oh, you're dead sexy.
Have you heard my accent?
Every day, sweetheart.
But are you complaining about it?
No, never.
Okay. But I would just be interested to see the analytics of that, to see exactly which demographics she reached the most. And I don't care one way or the other. When I found out she was doing this, I was like, hey, smart play. Good move. Good on her for wanting to get youth involved. I also agree that, the youth in this country are woefully unengaged in political discourse. And it's one of those things. I'm glad to see that somebody is stepping up, and that even though this may not have reached the target demographic, as a lot of kids watch Among Us Twitch, it still made an impact, and that's what matters, is that it made an impact.
As far as I'm concerned, it's a brilliant thing if you can get 15, 16, 17 years old interested in politics before they even have the ability to vote. That way, when 18 rolls around and they can vote, they've had a starting point.
Exactly.
So, good.
Yeah, while we're on the topic, I just posted a link in the Discord for you guys to check out. Just fun little reference. Joe Biden has his own island on Animal Crossing, and it's a campaign. It's virtual campaign headquarters.
I have actually. My sister plays Animal Crossing, and I have seen this thing. It is impressive.
Yeah, it's apparently really nice. I don't play it. I don't know what counts as nice in the game, but people who do say that it's pretty nice.
It's fairly impressive that they were able to get this thing, this detailed and this, it's impressive. That would be like somebody going in Minecraft and building out an entire thing in Minecraft. So, but of course we won't see that because Minecraft.
But yeah, at the virtual field office, they've got a campaign. They prompt people to join the text bank and phone bank. There's a virtual polling station to encourage you to vote. It's actually kind of funny if you look at the pictures. It's a campaign field office in a virtual place. Joe Biden's old as dirt, and it's a fucking shame that's the best that the Democratic Party could put forward. But it's at least they're trying.
Yeah.
at least they are trying to engage people to vote rather than scaring people away from voting.
Yeah.
And they're taking new approaches to it too. They're not just doing the same old things that they've been doing for all the older generations, and they're not being pandering about it, and they're not just doing it for the sheer like AOC's thing. She wanted to play a game. She knew her presence would be the politicizing factor, and from what I'm hearing, 'cause unfortunately I did not catch the stream myself, it sounds like she didn't really talk shop or anything. So clearly, when politics stresses out a lot of the younger millennials, zennial type crowds, it's nice to see her taking an approach that she knows works with her audience.
Now, I will say she did get political at a couple of points. I did catch some of it, and I've watched highlights from the stream. But, you're right. The fact that she didn't talk shop the entire time is a blessing. Because there are politicians out there, even younger politicians, who would turn that platform into a just 2, 3, 4 hour tirade on why you should vote for the other side or why you shouldn't vote for the other side.
I just can't wait for like the complete cringeworthy, terrible, inevitable copycats where we're gonna get some like conservative guy on here, like just some uptight conservative white dude trying to play a video game and
Ted Cruz.
Yes,
why they should vote Republican, and like I can't wait for how bad that's gonna fucking be.
I want to see Ted Cruz play Animal Crossing.
If the right was smart, they would put somebody out there like Dan Crenshaw, who is at least a little relatable. And I mean, hey, look. Nothing about the dude, or nothing bad about the dude. He served our country and he served it well, and lost an eye in the process. I've got mucho respect for that guy and what he did for the country. But he's one of the more relatable people on the right.
Trying to look, he's got an official website.
He's a fucking pirate.
How did that dude put it from Saturday Night Live? He looks like a Bond villain from a porno.
A little bit.
Pete, oh god, what's his name? Blonde-haired dude, dating that one really fucking hot chick. That's him.
Like the most famous person on SNL?
I don't watch SNL, dude. I stopped watching SNL when fucking Bill Murray stopped, and he was gone. And he was gone before I was born.
Nobody watches SNL anymore.
I think the last one I watched is when Dave Matthews played on there.
I've seen the cowbell clip. That's about as much as I know.
I love how Pete Davidson girlfriend on Google just comes up with Pete Davidson is rumored to be dating yet another girl who's way out of his league.
I mean, they wouldn't be wrong.
Ow. Harsh. Maybe he's got chutzpah.
Yeah, that's what he's got.
In other news.
Yes, in other news. Let's go to other news.
Speaking of
Xbox, in a move that is hinting towards more Xbox and PC exclusives, Phil Spencer is saying that Xbox and Microsoft can shoulder the entire $7.5 billion they spent on Bethesda without ever having to put a game on PlayStation. So this could mean a lot of PC and Xbox exclusives of some well-loved Bethesda IPs.
Am I gonna have to start like turning around my arguments and starting to defend PlayStation players? Because I don't want to. No.
I mean, if it makes you feel better, Doc, if you start doing that, I'll have to take a shower because it'll make me feel dirty.
Can we just be tacitly complicit in this?
It's okay, Doc. We can just invite Cozen on because he's the one that plays the PS4 and he can shoulder the entire burden for you.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. All right, I'm cool with that.
Now, just to be clear, Spencer did say in the interview with Kotaku when this was said, he didn't say that they would make them exclusives, but he said that Xbox and Microsoft definitely could, and like from a financial perspective.
Oh, that's got to be a shot at Sony's, and like, if you don't really make this sweet, we might not put our stuff on your console.
Actually, what's kind of funny is it even gets more granular. He was specifically asked if they could recoup the $7.5 billion simply without selling Elder Scrolls 6 on PlayStation. And he said yes.
Oof.
That
So-
is some confidence right there. I wonder what accountants. I wonder if the accounting department was like cringing or being like, "How did he read that report?"
No, I imagine them all running around like the entire building was on fire, and it's actually not the building, it's just a small trash can down in maintenance.
Of course it is.
He did say, the deal's not done to take games away from another player base. Nowhere in the documentation that we put together said, how do we keep other players from playing these games? We want more people to be able to play games, not fewer people to be able to play games. So, we might be getting a little doublespeak here. This sounds like classic corporate doublespeak where you got the guy saying, oh yeah, we're not going to take away anything from anybody, but yeah, we could totally afford to if we wanted to.
Yeah, in the end, here I just see one multi-billion-dollar company dicking with another multi-billion-dollar company to shove, in this case, Sony aside and squeeze them and be like, yeah, if you were out of the picture and PS5 was no longer a thing, your market would probably move over to our market. So, yeah.
Really what this interview is, it's the head of Xbox publicly saying, hey, Sony, remember when I bought Bethesda?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, Sony, PP big.
Remember when that happened like 3 weeks ago? Yeah, I did that.
So, on the note of Xbox, it appears that GameStop will reportedly be getting a cut of Xbox games, even if they aren't being bought from GameStop. So they've worked out some kind of deal with Microsoft to get some type of a cut, a percentage of whatever digital sales come on the Xbox. You see what I did there?
Yeah, so GameStop will be the exclusive vendor of the new Xbox.
Well, it's really funny because when the merger, when the deal was first announced and we were talking about it a few weeks back, a lot of people were wondering what's in it for GameStop, because like they're going to get fancy new Surface tablets for their salesmen, but what are they actually getting out of this? Well, now we kind of have an idea of what they might be getting a piece of, but like, why?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, does Microsoft really need physical locations that badly?
Well, they shut down all of their Microsoft stores.
Exactly. There are no more Microsoft stores. So I think really this move was done as a way of like, Microsoft doesn't need a physical store to sell computers.
Nope.
They do need a physical store to sell to gamers, because computer nerds are used to, for the entire history of computers, sourcing our things piecemeal on our own, doing it that way. Gamers forever have gone to a video game store. That's where you go to browse the games. That's where you go to, look at the cool shit, and that's where all that stuff is concentrated. And now that you can't walk into a Microsoft store and see their big ass Xbox display where, they've got 10 consoles where you can try out all these cool new hot games, they got to have something somewhere.
And GameStop already has the infrastructure in place. They're literally everywhere. And just venting back to PC gamers, I've stepped foot in a Micro Center. I don't know if anyone else has, but it's nearly an instant PC orgasm.
Dude, Micro Center is like, that's the promised land. That's Mecca for like, there's one here in the city, and it's like in the ass end of Brooklyn, and it takes me like an hour and 45 minutes to get there, and I'm like a kid in a candy store.
Oh yeah, I bought my last processor at the one up in Minneapolis. Oh man, like I still have dreams about that store.
Yeah, half my PC is parts that I have bought and or upgraded from Micro Center.
Jesus Christ! I live out in Hickville. I can't imagine being able to go to a store where they have a properly stocked inventory of computer parts that I can like choose from and actually find something that I want.
Dear God, they have everything.
I have to go to Best Buy. Best Buy, please sponsor me and give me free stuff.
No.
That's where I got my motherboard, I got my CPU, my water cooler from them. Everything else I ordered piecemeal online when I first built the computer, but those 3 things are all from Micro Center. And each time I went there, I spent like an hour and a half there, like just browsing and like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah, I funnily enough, or interestingly enough, according to my research when I was putting together my last computer, they have like one of the best deals on Intel processors because they've got some sort of like sweet deal with Intel. So that's why I went there to get that. And then I like just spent a long ass time looking around. Otherwise, I got most of my parts from Newegg because that's where you go because they've got the best search ever.
Oh yeah, I actually working. I just bought my PC and I'm actually looking at doing upgrades because I found out today that my pay is going to be a little bit better than I thought it was going to be for my new job. Hooray! And that I will be able to. And what I'm thinking of doing is I'm just going to go ahead and upgrade the motherboard. I'm pretty much going to do a ground up restoration on the computer I just bought. And it's just because my PP needs to be bigger. You know,
it was a pre-built. It was a pre-built affair. No one can blame you for this.
Well, actually,
why are you gonna upgrade your motherboard first? And unless the motherboard is a bottleneck, which if it's a pre-built, I highly doubt that. You probably get better mileage out of upgrading something on the motherboard, and then once you get to a point where you want to upgrade to something that your motherboard will no longer support, that's when you should upgrade your motherboard.
Yeah, you should, like, I'm not sure what kind of motherboard that you have, but we could probably get to the determination real quick as to whether or not that was the problem. I highly doubt it.
Yeah, me too. Every PC has a bottleneck. There's one of your components is weaker than the rest. Mine, it's definitely my RAM. I need to upgrade my RAM very badly. Everything else is chugging along pretty well.
Mine right now is my graphics card.
Yeah, and my graphics card is second after my RAM. But yeah, Zero. If you bought that, if everything in there right now came as a pre-built, I can almost guarantee that the motherboard is not the first thing you need to upgrade. Probably the best thing you could do is upgrade the RAM, and then look at the graphics card, because I'm going to guess that the motherboard and the CPU are. I mean, if they came together as a pre-built, there's probably a reason for that. They're probably pretty well matched in specs.
I just posted my motherboard in the Discord chat.
A320M and A320M AS Rockboard. Yeah, this is not your problem.
You just look at that picture and you see all the cool stuff on it, and you know that's decent.
I mean, it's micro ATX. That just means that you can build small, and I admire that.
It works in the smaller cases for sure. I mean, you could definitely put it in a bigger case if you wanted more airflow, but
yeah, but it says right there on this page it supports DDR4 3200 plus overclock and an overclocked Ryzen CPU. So that DDR4 3200 plus, I can guarantee you don't have DDR4 3200 RAM in there. So your RAM
would be expensive.
Yeah, your motherboard can support faster RAM. How many RAM slots are on this thing?
And more RAM.
It's got two, but it would support what?
How much RAM do you have? Probably what? 2 4 gig sticks in there?
I got 2 8 gig sticks in there.
2 8s. Okay.
You can go up to 32 gigs on this board.
Let's see here. Give me just a minute.
You might be better off just sticking with 16 and just getting faster. Yeah, that's the second question. What's the speed of your RAM?
Hang on. I'm about ready to tell you. I just need to look at my purchase history. Because I did upgrade, because it only came with 1 stick of 8, and instead of trying to match the stick that I had, I just bought 2 new sticks.
Good. It's very good.
Well, the other thing is, let's see, CPU up to 95 watts. It's an AM4A series. Yeah, the next question would be, what CPU do you have? It's probably decent, being an AMD.
Yeah, it is. Oh, hang on. Orders. There we go.
Why are we watching Henry Cavill building a PC?
I was advised to do this.
Because, goddamn it, building PCs is excellent, and this man did a great job for his first time building a PC. Apart from the fact that he's not wearing the static bracelet, which you should absolutely always do.
Highly recommend. 10 out of 10.
Let's see here. I've got DDR. I've got Team Group, T-Force, Vulcan, Z, DDR4.
What's the 4 numbers?
3000 megahertz.
Yeah, all right. So 3000.
Not bad.
That's not bad. Does it say up to there? Oh, is that just the number that it gives you? Like, or does it give you an overclocking number as well? Because it is Team Group.
Frequency 3200 megahertz.
3200. Okay. So what I would do actually is just go into your BIOS and take a look. Your BIOS should tell you what frequency your RAM is running at. If it's not running at 3200, then your BIOS on this board absolutely has an XMP profile, and you can bump that up. You can overclock your RAM up to its whatever it specs. In this case, is 3200 megahertz. It's noticeable. It's going to be noticeable if it's running at like 2333 or 2600 all the way up to 3200. Yeah, you're going to notice that.
And then my processor is AMD Ryzen 5 1600 6-core.
Yeah, you know what? You're good. Okay, you're good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like miles better than the gaming laptop that I'm currently using. So yeah.
Now, so the next component, if we're looking for a bottleneck here, is what's your GPU?
It is. I'm running a Radeon RX 580 series.
.580 series.
Hi, Sarah. Welcome to the Church of Chonkwij.
Welcome, Sarah.
You've encountered our PC building component of this program.
We just sort of stumbled onto this. Yeah, we
are a video game news podcast, but we're on a tangent.
These
tangent.
I believe these folks are joining us from my sister stream. So welcome everybody from Baron Bun Gaming.
That's amazing. I love your sister so much.
I do too. She is amazing. She is my. As much as we didn't get along as kids, she's my partner in crime now.
Sorry to interrupt here, but watching Henry Cavill spread thermal paste is making me moist.
Isn't it just great?
Like that was a lot. I don't know if you noticed, but it looked like it was a little slowed down there.
Yeah,
and I think that was like that. They made that sexy.
Yeah, no, it's visual ASMR.
That was real good.
I saw this summer, and it's just so amazing.
I mean, the rest of it I don't really care about, but watching that thermal paste, getting me hot and bothered.
It's definitely a Superman in our book.
Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We're going to start the whole thing over again for those that just joined us.
All right, should we get back to gaming news?
Yeah, we should
do that.
Yeah,
we can provide the listeners an update next week on how your computer parts have increased or decreased.
The important part here is, Zero, that your hardware more or less is absolutely fine. I'm also assuming that you have solid state drives. So your bottleneck, if it's coming anywhere, is either your RAM or your graphics card. And your graphics card, honestly, is more than decent. You've got a good system going.
Okay. Good deal.
So a game that we have talked about quite a bit in on the previous podcast that we will, I'm sure, continue this tradition on our new podcast, Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
There was an announcement recently from CDPR that a few features that were kind of hyped by certain segments of the crowd and things people are excited for have been eliminated from the game ahead of release. And
wait, why?
They get some flack for it.
Why?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly the reaction that they're getting, and their response is basically, this happens in every game. We have just been so exceptionally open with our development process that you are seeing these features that have now been removed. And in an interview, the CDPR senior level designer said that cutting features and scope is a normal part of development. You can witness it so openly with our game because we happily gave in to community wishes and showed you that 2018 demo. Think about it, the game 2 years from release. People are hoping that thing they saw 2 years ago is going to be exactly the same. Well, the odds of that ever happening are next to nothing. It's this, the whole development cycle of 2077 with how involved the fans have been and how early they announced it and how open they've been about the whole process and all the things they were adding and things they were doing. And on the one hand, it's great for them because it helps them build huge hype, but on the other hand, they may have built some expectations that now that they can't meet them, you're getting people disappointed. When if you had been a little quieter, less concerned about hype early on, you might not be having this disappointment now.
Well, there's such a thing as negative publicity being good publicity because it gets your stuff into more ears and people have to develop an opinion on it. But yeah.
All right, well, I have a two-part question here. First of all, is Keanu Reeves still in the game?
Yes.
I'm fairly certain they wouldn't cut that.
Thank God. All right, the second question is, what exactly did they remove from the game?
Let's see here. Cutting features.
You almost gotta wonder if whatever they cut might be future expansion or DLC type material.
Which I think is something that Sarah just touched on in chat, is that, the comment is CDPR are not newbies. If they removed something, it was not for no reason, I think. I tend to agree with that. They either had a technical difficulty with it and they couldn't push it out in time for launch, or they want to save it for a future release so that they can work on it more and make it better.
Yeah, but sometimes when you're getting close to the finished vision, you realize that an idea that you thought was really good early on just might not fit. This is going to be a huge game. They were criticized in the last week or two that a lot of the content that they have been sharing, like trailers and videos and stuff, have been super like combat heavy and stuff like that. And certain segments of the fan base were concerned that the RPG side was not there. But in response, they've basically said like, yeah, but showing you the choices you can make in a game, it doesn't make for an exciting trailer, but we, promise you that the game is going to be filled with meaningful choices that will change the way that the game progresses, and it will have an in-depth RPG experience to it. So you have to imagine that there are a million features in this game. And, sometimes, something that might have looked cool in a trailer 2 years before launch, they get to the end and it's like, we don't need that. That just, it's added stuff. I mean, fuck, we look at Warframe. How many features, how much content in that game just doesn't fucking need to be there.
How dare you?
Well, okay, no, I'll take that back. How much content is half-assed that would be great, but they couldn't figure out how to make it great, and now they've just ignored it?
How dare you, 80-90%?
Versus, a company like this who is saying like, you know what, maybe the end product is better without it. And what was a cool idea isn't the reason we're making this game. So, we could be seeing some of these things added later. We could, it could just not be possible. Or it could just be a creative decision that, the game doesn't need it. And it doesn't help tell the story. So
Hey, Kirby's here. What's up, Kirby? Oh, good times. Yeah, so, all right. They cut some features from Cyberpunk 2077. It sounds like they're not getting too overly specific into what they cut. Is that accurate?
Yeah, the article doesn't seem to really get into the super details. Well, hey, let's follow a link that highlights the conversation. Oh, it's a link to a Reddit post. Okay, cut content. So, okay, multiplayer is one of the things. It was originally said that it would be in the game, but now, well, as of 3 months ago, when people were complaining about cut content, this Reddit post at least, saying that multiplayer won't launch until the DLC is already out. Yeah, there's might be some things here or there, but no, the article we're reading doesn't get super in depth on what's getting cut.
See, holding off on multiplayer, I can understand because that's a whole beast in itself. So it sounds like that's not just cut from the game; that's being sent back to development until they're ready for it.
Oh, here we go. One of them is wall running. Score 1 for Warframe. Score 1 for Warframe.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, design reasons were the stated cause, which basically means it was causing more trouble to implement than it was worth.
Because people found out how to break the levels.
So, yeah, basically. Other features that were teased but later axed include customizable vehicles, dual-wielding weapons, and the flathead spider bot companion for techie class characters, whatever the fuck that means. So, yeah, they have listed some things here, but again, he finishes off with, kind of what I said, making the point that features being pared down and cutting content it doesn't necessarily mean that the product as a whole will suffer. In fact, it's letting them focus on the things that are most important to the game. And do you want the devs in this last leg of development working to shoehorn in something that they don't think works? Or do you want them refining what they believe is the best part of their game?
Yeah, so all the way back to the beginning of this, refining, obviously. I'd really like it to be a really good product when it comes out at launch. I'd like it to reflect the previous CD Projekt Red releases. So I am an apologist for CD Projekt Red.
Well, it's kind of compare it to a sculpture. Some famous historical artist said something along the lines of, like, the sculpture's already there, you just have to remove the things that are in the way of it.
It's Michelangelo. He said, I don't carve the sculpture, I find the sculpture in the rock.
Exactly. So, they might be removing stuff, but, the sculpture carved by Michelangelo doesn't need a fucking tumor on, a shoulder. Yeah. It's not a feature that's cut. It's something that doesn't quite work with the sculpture.
Michelangelo was carving David, and he's just like, no, the penis is too big.
Too big. Much too big. Sorry, I know that analogy might have been a bit of a stretch, but hey, there we go.
No, it's fine. It's good.
You might say it was enlarged.
Hell.
Oh.
Enlarged and engorged.
Hell.
Oh,
To mess it.
Still got to get that soundboard working.
All right, let's see. Any other topics that we haven't gotten to?
Well,
7 CS:GO pros were suspended for betting on matches, but I don't really give a shit. We don't actually need to talk about that. I just think it's kind of funny that you see, like, the same thing that happens in pro sports happening in esports, which, I mean, if anything, it just gives more legitimacy to esports.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, in my state, they're holding a ballot initiative to allow sport betting out in Deadwood. So that's, yeah.
So I think one thing that definitely needs to be talked about, since we did bring up Sony earlier, that the PS5 fans apparently will be optimized in a future online update, a firmware update, to accommodate how hot or cool future games cause the console's processing unit to become. That's a fairly standard thing for a company to do. Why would they announce this?
That's the video. That's the video I was talking about. Yeah, we talked about this on a podcast that's never going to go up because someone's a bitch. That's the video that I was talking about. About the PS5, and he was just like, "Please do not hate me. I did not make this product. I am just showing you what is inside of it." But yeah, we talked about the PS5 and the Xbox running hot. The PS5 was running hotter than the Xbox X, and to address that, PS5 is apparently coming up with a firmware update, which essentially means that they're going to instruct the BIOS on the PS5 to spin the fan faster.
Yeah. Is your PS5 hot? Then cool it down more.
Yeah.
Right.
Brilliant
That's how that
innovation,
happens.
Sony. That's a brilliant innovation by Sony.
Good job. Good job.
Yeah,
Uh,
it
I
just
thought-
makes
Go
me.
ahead, Sony.
It just makes me fear for the fans' shelf life. If they run them hotter, it'll like burn the fans out faster, and have to buy another PS5.
Sorry, I am an art history nerd. Sarah just brought up favorite meme about Michelangelo has always been church asked him to paint the Sistine Chapel, and he says after agreeing, "I'll paint it, but I will put lots of naked dudes with their privates out."
It's
Yeah.
better with the accent.
Yeah, it's so much better with the accent.
You want to know, Sarah? You want to know a better meme about? Well, not a better meme, but a different meme about the Sistine Chapel and Michelangelo. He agreed to paint it, but the ceiling that was supposed to be three sets of biblical stories in order. He didn't put them in order. He put the creation of Eve front and center in the middle of there. He put the feminine mystique front and center in the middle of the papal capital, basically, where the Pope does all his services. So he put women first and forefront, and that was kind of a joke that leads back along there. Leonardo da Vinci did the same thing. They're all just like, women are getting shit on everywhere. I don't believe in this. This is bullshit. So I'm going to put little jokes everywhere. Told that to my art history teacher. She was not amused. I was like, prove me wrong.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I saw a hilarious meme on Reddit about it was about the consoles running hot, and it was a console player saying, "Damn it, I paid for that whole thermometer. I'm gonna fucking use it."
Dedication to cause plus 10.
I mean, honestly though, it's true though, because at least with a PC, if you don't have a visual display within the system itself, you generally have some type of software that allows you to adjust the speed of the fans to be able to run your system cooler. Now that's not a problem if you have a decent airflow for the system, but not everybody has, the space that that some people have. But the fact that I highly doubt that Sony is going to go in and update the fan prior to launch. They probably have millions of these units already built, and they're not going to go in, take them apart, and replace just the fan in each unit.
No, they're not. They're going to push out this firmware update, and they're going to say, "Oh, this will do it." And anybody who understands how these things work is going to be like, "Oh, all right, it spins faster." Okay.
So make sure you get your warranties from a reputable warranty dealer. Otherwise, you might be replacing your fans a few years down the line.
That'd be hilarious if, like, 6 months after launch, all the fans start crapping out.
Oh my god!
They're not rated for the power wattage that they're now pumping through the fans to try and keep these things cold.
And I mean, just depending on, like, I haven't watched this particular takedown video. I don't know where they put the fans, but, like, if it's in a PC tower, a fan is, like, one of the easiest things to pop in and out, so.
I would just think it would be hilarious if PS5 player, like Omega says, like 6 months after launch, PS5 players sitting there playing a game, all of a sudden they hear boom, 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 beginning of that meme. Yeah, that's a ball bearing that just flew out of your fan. It's somewhere inside your PS5 now.
It's like the black smoke that flies out of the computer tower, and you need to catch it to put it back in so everything works again.
The black smoke out of your computer means there's a new computer pope.
Oh god, yes.
We're gonna. It'd be hell. We went through all this with the Red Ring of Death with Xbox. I mean, I used to be an Xbox player. 15 years ago. I had a Red Ring of Death, and that's because the console got so hot that it melted the fucking thermal paste in the console. And, like...
But that's not supposed to happen.
So, it actually melted a weld point, I think. Like, where a wire was, like, welded on. You want to know what the solution was? Before Xbox like got off their ass and actually started doing like returns, the solution, like the bootleg solution, was either to wrap your Xbox up in a blanket and run it to contain the heat to remelt the solder, or, I shit you not, put your Xbox in the oven to
I mean,
remelt the solder.
I have
It
so many
works.
questions.
That is what people were doing.
Wait.
It was working, but
Wait,
it was also
wait.
the kind of thing where like it'll work the first time and then it'll work the second time, but all you're doing is continually degrading this.
You're spreading out the solder.
Yeah, exactly. You're just degrading the solder. It solidifies. It cracks. You melt it. It just continually degrades away. So eventually, it no longer worked. But like that was the solution back in the day.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I remember that didn't happen when we were in college, did it?
No.
the last time I remember Red Ring of Death was my ex-husband, and he managed to fix it somehow. I didn't ask questions.
Okay.
Not sure how, but whatever.
Just, yeah, get a screwdriver, open that thing up, get some super glue. It'll be fine.
Yeah, he was not the most technically intelligent one, so I assume he got someone to fix it for him.
Just looked up putting the Xbox 360 into the oven. The first thing that came up was from iFixit.com, and somebody legit asked on April the 28th of 2012, I want to know if it's a good idea to put the motherboard into an oven, or into a oven, to fix Red Ring of Death. Top comment 2 months later, on June the 23rd, ovens are made for food. Any questions?
I just posted an article. You can pull it up on your stream if you want. Or not an article, a forum post from 2003, where a guy goes through the entire process of how he baked the motherboard, and like he goes through the entire process of shielding the rest of the board, and then leaving the exposed parts that he needed to, and then put it in the oven, 475, and then slowly tiered down the heat, and until it tempered back down to room temperature. And
This is not a thing that you're supposed to do. Everything about my technical expertise is screaming at me right now.
Ovens are not made for Xboxes. Agreed. Though I will say it is impressive, his aluminum foil job on this. I guarantee you that the CIA was not picking up any data off of that motherboard.
Jesus.
Yes, his Xbox was in a hot box.
Yeah.
But like,
We have progressed as a society. Am I right?
This guy's
Oh my god.
This guy's an IT specialist. He says he's got a ton of experience in electronics and repair. He's an IT specialist. He talks about his experience working where they would, they used to paste printed circuit boards with solder paste, and then they would basically hit it with higher temperatures than that, and like then the finished boards would go into an oven. And so like he based this process off of his real world experience. So like that's what I'm saying. Like this was the legit solution back then. That's how absurd that shit was.
It is equally terrifying, and it borders that insane and intelligence line quite well.
Thankfully, I didn't get the Red Ring until after Xbox was like, okay, yes, this is actually a problem, and we'll replace any Red Ring systems. So, or at least refurbish, whichever it is. But yeah.
Yeah, it was refurbish, I believe, if I remember some of my gamer friends at the time, because I never had a console, to be honest. I am a sword and board person.
So you sent in your Xbox, they said refurbished. I don't think they gave you yours back refurbished.
Yeah.
They gave you another refurbished one, and then
Correct, yeah.
you would send in yours, and they would send you one that they had already repaired from somebody else that sent one in, and then they would give yours to the next guy who sends in one. So
Yep.
whenever you did send in an Xbox for repairs, you always took off the hard drive and kept that. So you never gave them your hard drive with the Xbox.
Back in the day when that was removable.
Yeah. I actually started playing Xbox well after the Red Ring of Death situation. So my 360 actually had the internal hard drive. I got one of the later versions.
That's just this makes my head hurt. I agree with Kirby here. That made my brain hurt.
All right, well, if we're ready to move on, I have a new segment I would like to introduce.
Oh,
and
alrighty.
This is something we couldn't have done previously, but now that we are on our new podcast, for our viewers out there, the members of this podcast, including the Linus, who's unable to join us tonight, we're also members of a D&D game. And
Yes.
we just had a session yesterday, and I think we should have a little session review.
Oh, God.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Bro, you
Absolutely.
guys kicked the shit out of a shadow demon orc. That was awesome.
No, it was... Okay.
So my character Sigurd completely, just wiped the floor with about a dozen orcs and killed a shadow demon. It was all Sigurd.
With a barrel of dwarven blasting powder.
That's also Sigurd has evolved a personality quirk where he loves blowing things up.
You got a drink, Zero?
Oh, yes! I actually have my water right here.
Hydrate. I will drink as well.
Yep. Thanks, Kirby.
Thanks,
that's
Kirby.
awesome.
Yep, I appreciate it. I do have points on here for different things that I can do within the stream. So,
for 2,000 points, we can IRL ban a word.
oh God, what have I done? Oh God, what have I done?
Yeah, so you guys are all level 7 now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we will be at the end of the long rest. Yeah. Yeah, that was an ordeal. So, high points of that session. Zero's character thought ball bearings were a good idea.
There's some sort of unknown monster seemingly impaled through a dead orc's body, and Zero's idea was to throw a ball bearing at it and see what happened.
Yeah, it looked like a stalagmite. It looked like a rock, but we noticed that when orcs touched it, it moved, and so Zero thought, hey, why don't I just throw a ball bearing at it? Then it'll think it's being attacked. And I shook my head, and he did it.
I should have, in hindsight, I should have just shot an arrow at it. But
yeah.
Yeah, so that was a piercer, and they look to all appearances like a stalactite on the ceiling. But if you walk under them, they will fuck your day up. And then
that led to us killing some orcs, and then Sigurd made friends with rats.
Yeah, you got one rat buddy, and he's got 2 acquaintances who've joined you.
So they were our scouts. And then that was pretty much, I mean, that was our journey down this dungeon. And then we got to the end there, and then we just started fucking up orcs.
Yep, as they were trying to ritually summon an orc shadow demon.
Which they successfully did.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. There was, I think it's kind of like stopping a Mack truck that's going at 75 miles an hour down a highway. No matter how many chanters that we got rid of, I think as long as there was one left, it was going to come.
But my theory was
Giggity.
that if you kill the big guy in the middle of it, then they wouldn't have had anything to channel that thing into. So I was trying to move towards that guy, but it didn't work out that way.
You could have killed the war chief before he transformed into the summoned shadow orc demon.
Could have killed the drow.
You could have killed the drow, or you could have killed both shamans. But if you didn't kill either shaman, the Tanaruk would have risen at the top of round 3. But because you killed one of them, it took till the top of round 4.
All right, Sarah, good night from Germany.
Thanks for joining us, Sarah.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Sarah. We appreciate it.
And just as a friendly heads up for anyone who's not aware of what we all play, DrNiggle is playing Sigurd Jarl, what are we calling it? A druidic fighter?
Eldritch Knight is fine.
Yeah, Eldritch
I mean,
Knight with a nature bent.
Yeah, with druid spells.
Omega is our fearless GM. Zero is playing a half-elven roguish type that is terribly unwise.
That is terribly unwise and extremely stereotypical.
Eliteness is playing a paladin of Torm or a paladin of Smash All the Things, and I am playing a cleric with an elven cleric with a deep sea god because yes, I absolutely embrace all of the pirate vibes.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. We've got like 2 super trope characters and 2 very atypical characters.
It works.
I mean, Storm Cleric isn't, I guess, super atypical, but it's not, one of the most common cleric subclasses that are picked, or Tempest Cleric, I should say. It's not one of the most common cleric subclasses.
We'll talk about atypical. Sigurd does smash with hammer, but Sigurd also very much enjoys sewing and leatherworking, and making friends with small animals,
and causing people to vomit so hard when they are Dutch ovened that their cloak has to be replaced, which still has not been completed.
Yeah, I know. As soon as we get back to the boat, buddy. Yeah, Sigurd hotboxed Zero's character, and Zero's character failed a couple of con checks and threw up violently. And then just threw instead of cleaning the cloak, he just threw it overboard.
It was an old cloak.
You're lucky Sigurd succeeded his con save because he would have shit his pants.
Oh my god.
And I would not have thrown those pants away.
As you can tell, we are very serious D&D players. Seriously.
I mean, it also helps that we have come up, or that Omega, actually, I'm not going to allow anybody to take credit for anything other than Omega putting in a drinking mechanic, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I attempted to stack chairs.
No, the rules as written drinking mechanics are just a little lackluster and just stupidly boring. It's just like, you've consumed alcohol, you're considered poison. And all that means is you just have disadvantage on attacks and ability checks, I believe. And like,
So throughout that system
fucking
entirely,
boring.
threw out all that and came up with a better one.
Yeah, it's much more entertaining when drinking happens. I mean,
So,
they didn't create a drinking simulator, and it's a game for all ages, and I get that, but we are mature adult gamers who enjoy mature adult beverages, and our players, our player characters, and NPCs should be able to enjoy mature adult beverages as well.
And one of these days, we're going to start mirroring our in-game drinking with our out-of-game drinking. And then the sessions are going to get weird.
Point of order, I have the beatus, and if I drink during our games, there is a possibility that somebody will need to call 911.
Diabetic coma.
Yeah, pretty much. Though I did go to the doctor and had blood work done recently, kind of go, swing it back to real life here. I had my blood work done for my most recent diabetic exam, and my A1C was down 1.7 points from where it was 6 months ago.
Those are rookie
That's
numbers.
really good.
You got to pump those numbers up.
Yeah, pump those numbers up,
rookie
man.
numbers.
You gotta get hammered with us. Let's go.
Oh God, what have I done?
Helmet's not a chair. Let's go. Get out on that field. Pump those numbers, boys. All right, yeah. So, good segment. I like a D&D wrap up.
Yeah,
Wrap up to our extended first podcast.
Have you guys thought about your level 7?
Oh yeah.
Well, some of you I believe Zero, you just gain a feature and you don't have any real choices to make here. You've gained evasion, right?
I gained evasion, and I gained one additional D8. I think it's D8 to my sneak attack.
D6.
D6. Sorry.
Sneaks are the cubes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool.
But anyway, we've been going on. It's about an hour and 40 minutes now. This is an extreme welcome to the Church of Chonkwij for our first extra long podcast.
Yeah.
C0C Podcast. C0C Podcast number 1, XL edition.
Hell yes.
If you're going to make a podcast, why would you just make a half-hour long podcast or something stupid like that? Just pulling a random number out. Yeah, I mean, who would ever make a half-hour long podcast?
Not unless you had like literally nothing to talk about, or if you were just very not interesting people. But we had a lot of good opinions on the first like 40 minutes of this, where we were talking about basically one thing, and we all had good things to contribute.
Yeah, it feels good to just kind of be able to let loose, just to discuss things, not have a format, but not have a format, have an unconventional format, as it were.
And we got to do a tirade about computer building.
True, and we got to watch Henry Cavill while we did it.
We got to admire, the skill of a first-time builder.
He was using the instructions too, which was very amazing.
Yes, always read the instructions. It's well worth it. So yeah, how do you want to take us out?
I think just saying goodbye to the chat sounds
Welcome
good to
to
me.
Church of Chonkwij, y'all. Hope y'all had fun, and hope to see you next week.
Same bat time, same bat channel. See y'all next week.
Penis.